welcome to everybody. My name's Jamie McGeechy and we're here live on Sounds of Scotland on American Scottish Foundation page, and I'm delighted to be joined by my good friend Craig Weir, who is in Scotland. How you doing, Craig? How are you, sir?
Good, man. All's good, man. How are you?
I'm feeling great. All the better for seeing you. All the better for seeing you. I am
Been a
delighted
while, eh?
to getting this chance to catch up. It has been a while, and what a strange time it's been. But I've been keeping connected with all you're doing musically, and it's an exciting time as always. And you're such a brilliant talent, and I'm just delighted to get the chance to speak to you. Delighted, mate. Delighted.
Good to be on, man. Thanks very much for having us. It's obviously great to be supporting the American Scottish Foundation. I have to say, I love that look you've got going on there with your sort of hair slicked back. It suits you. Handsome laddie.
Oh, that's a grand compliment coming from yourself, you handsome chap. You, I'm doing
Behave.
fine. I got the brow cream out. The brow cream.
You look good, man. You're looking fresh. You're looking fresh.
As are you. As are you. No, I always remind myself just how amazing it was to meet you in the very first instance. We met at New York Tartan Week just a couple of years ago, and what an amazing time we had. And you've performed at New York Tartan Week a couple of times, haven't you?
I think 4 or 5 times, yeah. But obviously, the concept of time just now is really weird. What with COVID, because we've lost like a year and a half, and I'm kind of like, how many times have I done this, or when did this happen, or yeah, I think 4 or 5 times.
Absolutely, absolutely. And where are you, Craig? Whereabouts in Scotland are you for our audience?
I'm in Dundee, glorious Dundee. Sitting in my flat, chilling out here on a Sunday night, you know.
Absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And you have had and have an amazing music career that blows me away. It blows me away. And you've performed throughout the world. You're an award winner. You've performed with some of the greats, the greatest. You've performed with Queen, for the Queen, for the Dalai Lama, with the Libertines, Kyle
And
Faulkner,
with you,
Space
I
City
performed with
Rollers.
you.
And I've had the privilege to come along to that performance with the Bay City Rollers in Glasgow. That was amazing.
It was lovely. It was good. It was a brilliant evening. Yeah, it was really great. Obviously, very sad news recently about the sad passing of Les McEwen, an absolute icon the world over. Do you know what I mean? One of the great frontmen in music, and well, you know, they were one of the most successful bands of all time. Never mind just being like a successful Scottish band. There's, I mean, 150 million records. That speaks for itself, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's no coincidence that these brilliants of the music world see that talent and passion in you.
Yeah, well, if I can, I don't know. I am passionate about what I'm passionate about. I guess we all are, and music is just something that means a lot to me. That I don't know. I read a stat today. I shared it on my Instagram, and it was, I can't. I'm away to tell you this, but I can't even remember exactly what it is. It's something like, if we listen to 5 to 10 songs each day, it increases our mental health prospects and reduces depression by, I can't remember the percentage, but it was a significant amount. It just shows you the power of music, man. It's an amazing thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you know, musicians, music, it does give the world so much. How did it all start out for you? How did it all start out for you in music, Craig?
Well, you know, I was when I was a younger lad, you know, I had a wee bit more hair and a bit less grey. I'm getting a bit thin and grey. It's not good, man. When I was younger, I was about 8, I think. I was round at my mum's uncle's. It was around about Christmas, I think. And my mum's uncle, some of the viewers here might know Jack Stewart. He was a pretty well-renowned piper particularly around the Angus area of Scotland. He would go around there one Christmas time, and he'd sort of said to me, you know, why don't you give the pipes a go? Why don't you give them a try? And you know, I was an incredibly shy child. Most people don't believe me when I say that, but I was a painfully shy child, and I didn't think that I had any talent. I didn't think that I had music in me, you know. But as soon as I started going along to lessons and whatnot, as you say, the word passion, it just ignited something in me, like a fire in my belly. And I suppose it's become like a disease. It's just an addiction, isn't it? Which you just can't get rid of, but it's brilliant. And the experiences, obviously, that music has brought me. I mean, not just the experiences. Like most of my really close friends have formed through music, and which is it's incredible. It's yeah, it's a really important part of my life, obviously. You know.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's something that you've taken and are taking so far. You're one of Scotland's brightest cultural ambassadors. You perform throughout the world, and I mean, when I met you, I just took to you straight away. I was like, this guy's brilliant. How have I not met this guy before? You know, you've got a
Got me
great
blushing, man.
energy.
You got me blushing.
It's true. You get a great energy, and what a talent! You know, when I heard you perform for the first time at Tartan Week, you know, jaws were dropping. You could just see people were getting so emotional, and it's just there's nothing like the sound of the bagpipes. But you're not only an incredible bagpipe player; you're also a brilliant singer-songwriter, guitar player. I was wondering if you could talk a wee bit about your bands as well as the solo performing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Gleadhraich was the first project that was formed. Gleadhraich are, by all accounts, I suppose a bagpipe rock band, kind of fitting into that sort of subgenre of bag rock, if you want to call it that. We formed in 2010, students at school together, really, and we formed for a bit of a school charity thing, a charity concert that we had going on. I was inspired to take the pipes to new places and new sort of styles and stuff and experiment and do something different. I'm quite an open-minded person, always have been, and wanted to just try something new, broaden my horizons, if you will. And I suppose that's where Gleadhraich was formed from. And well, last year, 2020, we should have been celebrating our 10th anniversary. Obviously, those celebrations have been put on hold until 2022, when we'll do it in our 12th year, which is fine. It'll be grand when it comes round. But yeah, Gleadhraich, it's a really exciting project, and we've had experiences to perform all over. We've released 4 EPs. We've got our own whiskey. We've won awards. We've played in. It's been an absolute privilege, and obviously my love for those boys is very real. I miss them dearly. We've not been in the same room as each other since February 2019, although we are going to be playing in London next month for the Scotland and England match in the European Championships, which is so exciting. And then a few years ago, I found myself starting to progress, I would say, lyrically, and writing songs and music that, you know, and if I'm listening to music, I think you can judge people on what they listen to in the car, right? I listen to a lot of indie kind of folk rock and that. And so what I listened to was kind of a bit different from what I was playing with Gleadhraich, but I found myself starting to write some more stuff that wasn't fitting the Gleadhraich project. And so we formed the Cabalistic Cavalry, Craig Weir and the Cabalistic Cavalry. And again, we've had some really unique experiences and great opportunities with that band too. And of course, there's a new record coming out on Friday this week, Reflections and Revelations, which I'm really excited to get out there. As I say, not just a piper. I guess I play guitar and I sing. During the pandemic, I've also kind of taught myself a bit of the whistle and a bit of the banjo, and both of those feature on the new record for the Cavalry as well, which is really exciting because I'm kind of broadening my horizons, both in terms of musicality, do you know what I mean? In terms of instrumentation and trying something new, which is always important, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we've got a brilliant video to share just now to take a wee look at, and it's of you performing at Ellis Island in New York with the Immigrant song. I was wondering if you can tell us a wee bit about that, please.
Yeah, so the Immigrant's Lament was a piece that was commissioned by the Clan Trust. They obviously host Tartan Day on Ellis Island every year. It was a piece that was kind of, I mean, it was written to commemorate the thousands and thousands of Scots that immigrated to North America through Ellis Island all those years ago. And obviously it's an important part of our, I guess, national story, both in Scotland and in the USA. And it's part of the reason that we have such a strong relationship between the two countries. It's quite an emotive little tearjerker of a air, if you want to call it that. And we went on to record it with Gleadhraich, and it was part of our Definition EP as well. But the version that we're going to play today was from the premiere of that piece on Ellis Island, with that beautiful backdrop looking over the Manhattan skyline. It's really stunning, and what a beautiful day that was.
Absolutely, it's gorgeous. It's moving. Here we are. Just hear it just now.
So this is the immigrant's lament. Yeah.
So moving. That was just brilliant. That was just brilliant. So that was Tartan Day on Ellis Island, Craig.
Yeah, I think it was. I think what year it was. It was either 2015 or 2016. It certainly wasn't yesterday. I look a bit more fresh-faced than I do today. Do you know?
No, I think you'll always look fresh-faced, sir.
It reminded me how much I've not watched that video in a long, long time, and it reminded me how much I miss the US and how much I miss New York, how much I miss traveling, taking music to different places. I can't wait till that's a thing again, man.
Not long, not long. Absolutely. Well, you'll always go down a storm everywhere you go, but certainly here in the US, I know that everyone's looking forward to you coming back. What was your first time like playing over in the States, and what was your first time like playing at New York Tartan Week, which is such an amazing celebration?
I mean, it's really hard to put that into words because, as you know, it's such an incredible experience to obviously do that, to be out there representing everything culturally that we have going on in Scotland, which is obviously really diverse and unique and insane, the amount of things that we have going on and going for us. Our culture is so instantly recognisable, do you know what I mean? And to see the American people embrace that and sort of engage in that wholeheartedly was just incredible. And, you know, parade day, obviously, when you've got that buzz of the pipes and drums bouncing off the skyscrapers down 6th Avenue, there is no feeling like that when you've got all these thousands of people screaming your name, waving Scottish flags, sort of being there to celebrate Scotland. It's a really special thing. That first year in particular, I really took the plunge. Like, I'd never been to the US. And I just decided it was something, Tartan Week had been something that I'd always wanted to have been a part of. And so I must have been, 21 or something, and just decided, nah, I'm going. And I just booked the flight. I went and I travelled on my own, and I didn't know anyone. But, you know, the rich experiences that I had out there, I don't even know where to begin. Like, there were so many. Ellis Island was a highlight. Meeting Billy Connolly and Alan Cumming was huge. I mean, Jimmy Fallon ended up at the Highland Divas show that we were involved in, and there was just so much that happened. It was an absolute whirlwind. But you know, I made friends for life, including yourself, and you know, it's a place that I long for. I can't wait to return to engage in in the madness of it all again, because really that's what Tartan Week is. Everyone lives in this little bubble for this week, and it's just, and of course now there's Scott Week LA as well to contend with, which is I'm going to be performing it in 2022 as well. Never been to the west coast of the US, so I'm so excited to obviously get out to New York, engage in as much as possible, see the Tartan Week family, perform all over, and then head out to Los Angeles and do the same thing over there. It's going to be really special, man.
Perfect. I mean, it's an incredible adventure coming over. I mean, I remember the first time that I came over from Scotland as well, and I just felt like I was living in a film. It was so surreal, but brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And as soon as you step out of the hotel in your kilt, I mean, you can't go far wrong. It's just brilliant the way we're
something
received.
very, very special about wearing a kilt. And obviously the two of us have that connection, being ambassadors for the World Peace Tartan as well, which is a really powerful thing as well, because I don't know, everything that represents. Do you know what I mean? It's a privilege and an honour,
Absolutely, designed by our good friend Victor Spence, and I can see your World Peace Tartan certificate on the wall behind you.
Yeah, there it is.
I can indeed. And that was the kilt that you were wearing in the performance on Ellis Island, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yeah, absolutely. It blended in really nicely with the light blue of the sea that day. It was lovely.
Absolutely. And with the Peace Tartan, I mean, you've wore that across the world, haven't you? And people will always ask, "Oh, what's that?" Because it's so striking and vivid.
Absolutely, yeah. And each of the colours obviously represents something very unique and intrinsic with the whole World Peace Tartan, World Peace kind of cause and everything that it stands for. And obviously, having been part of that story with the launch of it when the Dalai Lama came to Dundee and whatnot, it's a special privilege, obviously, And then, obviously, we mentioned just before we came on here, like this week as well, I've become a brand ambassador for 21st Century Kilts as well, which is hugely exciting because, their whole idea is that, while the clan kilts and whatnot are so important, they are so important. Let's not take anything away from that. Howie's vision, obviously, is that the kilt should be seen as a fashion symbol the world over and not just something that is wholly limited to being clan tartans and whatnot. And so it's great. I mean, it's all exciting stuff. It's a huge honour to be an ambassador for the World Peace Tartan. It's a huge honour to be a brand ambassador for 21st Century Kilts. And I don't know, man, there's so much going on right now in my life, and it feels like a really exciting time.
Yes. Not only are you a fantastic ambassador for 21st Century Kilts and World Peace Tartan, but you're a fantastic ambassador for Scotland itself. You really are. I was wondering, please, if we can play the first of your music recommendations or music that's influenced you or influencing you. And what's this first one we're going to play?
I think the first one, is it the Pete and Diesel one we're going with, yeah?
That's the one we've got lined up. It is indeed.
Yeah, this is just a great song, and it's one that, when festivals and whatnot return, it's gonna be a real crowd pleaser. Pete and Diesel are, they don't take themselves too seriously. They're really fun with their sort of vibe. They're obviously from Stornoway, and they've really taken the music world by storm, not just in Scotland, but across the UK. And, I actually think that they would go down incredibly well in New York at Tartan Week. Can you just imagine them rocking Sony Hall? Oh my God, man, we need to make that happen. So I thought this was a really great piece, to recommend. And if people in the US or even in Scotland haven't heard it, I think it's one that they will really connect with, because that chorus is huge.
Absolutely. I saw an interview with them on the TV, and I just thought, brilliant, so down to earth, so passionate, and so authentic as well. All the songs are about the life that they live, and brilliantly crowd pleasing.
We had Boydie recently on our podcast, and he was just so humble, and again, it evidenced the fact that they don't take themselves too seriously, and I'm sort of stunned by their sort of rise to stardom that they've seen over the last few years. But they quite rightly are winning best back towards Western Isles is taken from their album Uptown Funk.
Well, the dog is on the window, the cat is on the floor. Everyone is having a party on the moor. They're up all night until their feet get wet. Wake up in the morning and their head is in a mess. I said the dog is on the window, the cat is on the floor. Everyone is having a party on the moor. They're up all night until their feet get wet. Wake up in the morning and their head is in a mess. And that's the way we do it, the way we do it in the Western Isles. And that's the way we do it, the way we do it in the Western Isles. Oh, you're rolling on the heather and you're dancing on the hill. The girls are doing a Highland fling. You pick up all the rubbish and you put it in the bin, 'cause if you don't, then that's a sin. I said you're rolling on the heather and you're dancing on the hill. The girls are doing a Highland fling. You pick up all the rubbish and you put it in the bin, 'cause if you don't, then that's a sin. And that's the way we do it, the way we do it in the Western Isles. And that's the way we do it, the way we do it in the Western Isles. Guitars, accordions and spins, that's the way we like our tunes. 5 o'clock till 3 a.m, that's the way it's always been. Guitars, accordions and spins, that's the way we like our tunes. 5 o'clock till 3 a.m, that's the way it's always been. And that's the way we do it, and that's the way we do it, and that's the way we do it, the way we do it in the Western Isles.
Brilliant. Oh, they would definitely go down a storm over here.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
How did you first hear of Pete and Diesel?
Do you know what? They're a band that I've been hearing about for a long time, right? And the first song that I heard of theirs was Salt and Pepper, right? I don't know if you know it, but it goes, Salt and Pepper and Justin Bieber, Salt and Pepper, Justin Bieber. And like, when I heard that, I'm like, Salt and Pepper, Justin Bieber, what is that all about? And I kind of just thought, what a load of nonsense, because we were playing Belgium the same year as them, and it came up, we were heading up to the festival, and we were both our bands were on the same playlist on Spotify when we were heading up, and they came on. I thought, what a load of nonsense, and I didn't bother to go and see them. But then I'd been hearing this big buzz about them recently, and it was in my favourite when the record stores opened up again after the first lockdown last year. I went in, I obviously had a look in the Scottish section. I seen that album, Uptown Funk. I thought, do you know what? I'm going to give this a go, because I've been hearing a proper buzz about this band. And I stood there, do you know what? I came home, I was standing doing my ironing, and it felt like I was having a little Kaylee to myself in my living room while I was listening to that album. And I thought, do you know what? They've absolutely proved me wrong, eh? Like, an absolutely brilliant band. That album's brilliant. The follow-up, Like My Buyer, came out last year. Absolutely brilliant. And I can't wait to see them play live. We're both, I think, Gleadhraich and Pete and Diesel are both due to play Lindisfarne Festival this September, and we'll definitely be getting along to see these boys. Like,
absolutely brilliant. Oh, it's gorgeous in Lindisfarne. It's a brilliant area. It's so beautiful and the perfect place for a festival as well. Aye, that should be the test when you're doing the ironing. You know, that should be the test. Does it get the feet going?
Yeah, exactly. If you can get ironing away and having a little dance in your living room while you're listening to an album, you know it's a winner. You heard it right here. Sunday night sounds from Scotland.
Well, I just love it. That mix of the rock and roll with the trad and the kind of punk attitude. Absolutely brilliant, and superb video as well. There just seem like a great bunch of lads.
Absolutely.
Aye, so for our next Craig Weir suggestion, we've got Martin Bennett. I was wondering if you can tell us a wee bit about what Martin Bennett, the music of Martin Bennett, means to you.
You know what? I spoke at the top of this about how I found it in 2010 how it was important to me to start to push boundaries with the pipes, right? To try and do something different, to take them to new ground. And in fact, right now, when I was thinking about these tracks today, I'm currently on the back of the recent success of our podcast. I've just started creating some content for BBC The Social. And in doing so, the first one that I'm creating and writing the script for just now is about the evolution of the bagpipes, right? And how they've gone from being this sort of caveman, archaic sort of instrument to something that, you know, is diverse, can be played in all sorts of genres, right? People need to obviously open their minds to where the pipes can go, because they really could be a really diverse and eclectic instrument if you want them to be. And obviously, they've got their traditions, and people will, and we need to respect that too. You know, your classic pipe band culture and your ceremonial uses of the pipes, that'll never go away, right? But I think it's really important that we allow the pipes to evolve, right? And, you know, when I was thinking about what piece I would use to evidence that, Martin Bennett's Chanter absolutely springs to mind. And, you know, when I listened to that again today before I sent it to you, that came out in 2003. So that came out, 18 years ago, right? It is so innovative and out there. It's so, I don't know, if people are not prepared for this on their Sunday night, it's going to blow their minds, to be honest with you. But this for me demonstrates how wild we can go with the pipes. And the more that we can encourage that kind of creativity and inspire that in people, I think it's hugely important. So have a listen to this, Chanter by Martin Bennett.
You play the melody on the chanter. You play the melody on the chanter. You play the melody on the chanter.
Absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. And I'm sure that would have blew a few people's minds if they've never heard anything like Martin
Yeah.
Bennett before.
Apologies to anybody if it's totally ruined their Sunday. Do you know what I mean? But I think I highlighted the fact that came out in 2003, but how forward thinking? Like that's 18 years ago. Do you know what I mean? If that came out, if that dropped this week, it would still blow people's mind and be so forward thinking and innovative. But I want that played at my funeral, man. Do you know what I mean? Like that needs to be played at my funeral.
I love it. I love it. It's just so energetic, infectious, and just a brilliant use of the bagpipes. Absolutely. I mean, for a lot of people, they, probably associate bagpipes as being not solemn, but very, serious and a wee bit formal. But the last couple of years, and people like Martin Bennett have shown that it's a very versatile instrument, versatile music. And it should be about pushing boundaries and barriers. And what a jam that was! Absolute jam, absolute jam. I was going to ask you, Craig, if you wouldn't mind giving us a wee tune from your new single that's upcoming, sir. That would be brilliant. That'd be brilliant.
Coming out Friday, I've got this new Cabalistic Cavalry record. It's called Reflections and Revelations, and it'll be everywhere. iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify. If you possibly can, please download it, buy it, because obviously streaming's great, but it's not great for the artists. It's great for getting our music out there, but in terms of for the artists, it's not great. I'm going to play a song, Mirrors, and the song Mirrors is the closing track of the record. The record was recorded between Dundee and Los Angeles. It's a record that I'm really proud of because it tells my life story over the last 2 years. The record starts off, with a breakup of a pretty turbulent relationship, and then it goes on that sort of journey of so many people have been there, that challenging journey that ultimately leads you somewhere. And for me, it led me to this period of self-discovery and self-love that Mirrors represents. So basically, if I was to present you with my reflective journal, of the last 2 years of my life, Reflections and Revelations would absolutely be that in creative form. So I'm really looking forward to the record coming out, and I can't wait to get out and play it live to people. This song's called Mirrors. When the world is upside down and your feelings all messed around, find a way to express yourself and don't let no one get you down. When you're feeling all out of place and you just need time and space, like a snake shedding its skin, you can find a new way to begin. We know that smoke screens and mirrors on the wall. Know that you can't hear my call. Standing back and show that you're the new ain't nothing. People you meet in new places you've been. We know that smoke screens and mirrors on the wall. I know that you can't hear my call. A torchlight through the wind and new rain. You guide me through each day of pain. Ba-da-da-ba-da-dum. 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 When you doubt the human race and you need a different pace, find a way to inspire yourself and put a smile upon your face. When you're feeling all out of touch and it's become too much, like a butterfly leaving its cocoon, you'll be flying away again soon. We know that smoke screens and mirrors on the wall. Know that you can't hear my call. I'm standing back and show that you're the new ain't nothing. People you meet in new places you've been. We know that smoke screens and mirrors on the wall. Know that you can't hear my call. A torchlight through the wind and the rain. You got me through each day of pain. Ba-da-da-ba-da-dum. 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 When you get what you want and you struggle for self, and the world makes a king for a day, then go to the minute and look at yourself and see what the man has to say. When you get what you want and you struggle for self, and the world makes a king for a day, then go to the minute and look at yourself and see what the man has to say. We know that smoke screens and mirrors on the wall. Know that you can't hear my call. I'm standing back and show that you're the new ain't after people you meet in the places you've been. We know that smoke screens and mirrors on the wall. Know that you can't hear my call. A torchlight through the wind and the rain. You got me through each day of pain. Ba-da-da-ba-da-dum. 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 Ba-da-da-ba-da-dum.
Absolutely fantastic. Well done, Craig. Well done. The new single, and it's out next week.
It's out on Friday, yeah.
Friday.
Around the world on iTunes, Amazon, Apple Music, Spotify, the whole lot.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, thank you so much for performing for us. Thank you.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. When have you got new music out? Have you got some coming out?
That's a very good question. I've been dabbling over the past kind of couple of months. We have a studio here in St. Louis called Gaslight, which has been brilliant to record that, but hopefully sometime soon.
Good. I can't wait to hear it, man. Can't wait to hear it.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. I was wondering if you can tell our audiences about your podcast, which is an award-winning podcast that's charting all over the world.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a ridiculous story, actually. You know, during obviously the pandemic, there was this we're still in the pandemic. There's this massive void left by live music. You know, there's nothing going on. So decided with my friend Ali. Ali's been both of our band's sound engineer, a sound tech, since we were at school. We went to school together. So for 11 years now, he's been our sound tech and a really good friend. Decided that we'd start a podcast. And as a kind of way of reflecting on the incredible experiences and opportunities that we have had around the world. So that's what we went and did, you know, a couple of goofballs here, do you know what I mean? Like going on and speaking absolute nonsense for an hour at a time. But it's blown our minds, actually, how incredibly successful it's been. We've expanded the horizons of it as well. We've expanded the format of it and brought on some guests as well. We'll need to get yourself on the podcast as well for a wee chat. We've had a bunch of really cool guests with more coming up. And we, as you said, we were voted runner-up in the Best Entertainment Podcast category at the Podcasting for Business Awards 2021, which was incredible, you know, at that point, that was January. So the podcast was only a few months old, do you know what I mean? It's a bit ridiculous. And then, as you say, we've been listened to in, I think, something like 38 different countries. We've been charting in 9, I think, to date. And this week is the first time that we've charted in 3 countries simultaneously. So this week we were charting in Spain, Cambodia and Canada at the same time. So 3 countries, 3 continents. And really, it's blown our minds, man. Like the fact that people are, you know, like making an effort to tune in to listen to our nonsense every week. Because in fairness, that's what it is. It's reflecting on what we've done, but actually just having a bit of a giggle and a laugh about it. Do you know what I mean? It's like people keep saying to us, you know, like, is that what you guys are like all the time? And I'm like, yeah, man, like that's the way we speak to each other in the pub, or like, you know, like we're just being ourselves, you know. So it's been grand. It's been a lovely journey that we've been on with it, you know.
Absolutely, and the recognition is well deserved, and it's certainly not nonsense, but absolutely full of adventures. And it's just the very down to earth way that you talk about you know, some of your adventures, performing for the Dalai Lama, playing with for the Queen as well. You know, huge things. But you're so down to earth about everything you do. But
Thanks.
your adventures are amazing, and certainly will long continue to be as well. And I recommend everyone do tune into the podcast, Weir's World.
Yeah, I should have said that. Yeah, Weir's World, the All Ears podcast, Apple Music, Spotify. Again, I think it's on Breaker, Overcast, so many different platforms that you kind of lose track of it. But yeah, please do listen in and listen to our nonsense and follow us on all the social media channels as well. You know.
Absolutely. And where can people go to find your website? And are you on Facebook and Twitter and everything? Instagram?
Yeah, it's kind of social media overload, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like Gleadhraich, Cabalistic Cavalry, the podcast, and whatnot. Yeah, but we're all on Facebook, Twitter. I've got my own Instagram page now. I've become a 21st century boy, Jamie. Do you know what I mean? Like I only got it a couple of months ago. I'm actually, do you know what? I'm blown my own mind. I'm actually on TikTok these days as well. Have you done any TikToks, Jamie? Have you been on it?
I haven't. There's part of me that's kind of not wanting to do it because I'm thinking I'm 35. I can't be on TikTok.
Old codger, but you know that's the way forward, man. That's the way forward.
Maybe that's the problem there. I'm not down with the kids and using the social media of the day, but I don't even have a clue how it works.
I'm still learning myself, man. Do you know what? I've just realised that's a really cool jacket you're wearing as well, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All the way from Slater's in Ayr High Street.
Oh,
Cheers.
Slater's, is that what it's from, man? I'll have to grab myself one of them as well. That's a beautiful jacket.
Thank you very much, mate. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you this afternoon. Thank you so much, Craig. I really am delighted that we could get this yap today. Thank you so much.
It's been great catching up. Thanks very much for having us on, and obviously it's great to do this for the American Scottish Foundation. Obviously, I'm only the support act for the other boys that are away to come on. Do you know what I mean? And that, I'll tell you what, before I go, that You and I single is absolutely incredible. It's a brilliant song, and if people haven't heard it, they need to go and listen to it. Absolutely.
Hello, Daniel. We're joined by Daniel Gillespie, Skerryvore. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you guys? Okay.
Feeling good. All the better for seeing yourself. Thank you. How's your weekend going?
Good. We had some sunshine today, which is always nice in Scotland. We've been missing it for a few weeks after a nice April. So, yeah, a nice Sunday, which was good as well. And then I've got 2 young kids. Managed to put them to bed now. So, what time are you at? 4 o'clock-ish or something?
Aye, it's almost 3:46 here in St. Louis, Missouri.
That's where you are, right?
Aye, absolutely. Whereabouts are you just now, Daniel?
Bishop Briggs, just outside Glasgow. Heading home to Tyree on Tuesday. First time I've been since August, so very much looking forward to that now that I can do that.
Absolutely, and that certainly leads in very well to the question I was going to ask about Skerryvore and where the name comes from. And I'm sure you've been asked it a million times before, but where does the name Skerryvore come from?
It's the name of a lighthouse. It's Skerryvore Lighthouse is a very famous one of the Stevenson lighthouses, and it's about 8 miles off the coast of Tyree there. So it's an incredible piece of architecture, really treacherous sort of reef that the lighthouse was put there, obviously to protect a lot of boats in the time, and how they built it when they did is just an incredible piece of engineering. So if anyone's not checked that out, you can search online Skerryvore Lighthouse. It's incredible. We've been lucky to be out a couple of times. We've not managed to be on the rock yet, but we've travelled out to the lighthouse a few times, and it's absolutely incredible.
Absolutely. And you've been busy over the past year, haven't you? The band have been busy and doing some incredible things, chart positions, incredible experiences performing with ONBOARD and Fingal. I was wondering if you can tell us first a wee bit about the Everyday Hero single, which is absolutely brilliant and topping the charts.
It came together pretty quickly, obviously. Like everyone else involved in the industry, so everyone came crashing down in March. We were in America at the time. We were in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I think we were maybe 4 or 5 dates into what was going to be a 21-date run, and obviously had to head home. And once we got home, and obviously everything was just so uncertain, no one really knew what was going on. And I think it was Martin was speaking to Brian Gibb, who manufactures all the merchandise for the band. He was speaking to him and he said, "Oh, you should write a tune for the frontline workers." And Martin just went home that day, wrote a wee bit of a tune, an idea, and that was it. It just sort of snowballed from there. He played it to Scott down the phone. Scott did a guide because he's got a studio in his house, and then it was our first attempt at sort of recording in isolation. Everyone being at home, and then we obviously asked a lot of friends to play on it as well, and when it came to releasing it, because it was from the frontline workers over here, they did a clap for carers thing at 8 o'clock on a Thursday. So it made a lot of sense for us to just say, right, let's do it at 8:15, just after people have been standing at the front door. And then before we knew it, we were getting sent all these videos of people playing the tune on the outside their houses and things and everyone else. And it just snowballed. It just absolutely snowballed from there. And yeah, we managed to get our first official chart #1 with it as well. So it was in the midst of what was a crazy and uncertain and scary time. It was a real positive, and sort of I was talking about this in a blog the other week. In a way, it sort of put us on a path of just going, yeah, we just need to keep doing things. We need to just keep, we don't know when we're going to go back on the road, so we just need to keep trying and be creative and stay positive. So it set us in a good way, I think.
Absolutely. You certainly don't seem to be a band who ever rest on their laurels. You're always active, always busy, engaging with your fans throughout the world, and certainly you're well loved through the US and indeed the rest of the world. I was wondering if you can talk a wee bit about the experiences of performing in the States. Certainly you've got so many fans here, and it's always a great big deal, when you come over. What's it like? What does it mean to you as a Scottish band to perform in the States?
It means a huge amount. We absolutely love it. We've always said that right from the very first time. The first time we visited actually was we were asked to perform as part of the promotion of Homecoming Scotland. And the first gig we did was at the Ryder Cup in Louisville, Kentucky. And it was just an incredible experience. I can remember how excited we were about that. And even on that trip after we played a couple of nights in Louisville, Kentucky, we went up to Chicago and played a homecoming promotion there, and we got to know a guy called Gus Noble, who's president of Chicago Scots, who you probably know, and that became a lifelong friendship and connection. We've done various things for Chicago Scots. Gus has been over to Tyree in Scotland with his band and stuff as well, and you know yourself that's the way it is. It's amazing making connections. I think that's just the great thing about the US. We've been touring there for 10 years, and we've got so many close friends out there in different places. We've got friends in California that will go and stay with her out there. We've got friends in the Midwest who'll stay with down in Florida, and it's such a welcoming people, and I think there's a lot of connections with the Scots and Irish in that way as well, and there obviously is historically huge connections, but we have always had a great time over there, so we've missed it a lot, and I look forward to returning.
Absolutely. Well, I can imagine that you've been inundated with requests to come and perform over here ASAP, as soon as it's possible.
Yeah, we're just waiting to see. I mean, obviously, we were supposed to be back again in August for a lot of the festivals, but that had to, a few of the festivals cancelled, and it just wasn't viable. We're still, fingers crossed, maybe September will happen for us. We're just having to wait, day by day, week by week, and see what unfolds. But we really do hope we're going to be out in September for, I think it'll be a shorter run than what it was supposed to be, but fingers crossed that'll happen.
Absolutely. And we briefly touched on the ONBOARD project there. I was wondering if you could tell us a wee bit about that, because it really was an incredible experience, and certainly people loved it.
Yeah, well, it was again going back to just sort of trying to stay positive and stay active. Right at the start, obviously loads of people started performing online, particularly Facebook Live and different, and we were all obviously isolated away from each other, and there's a lot of us in the band in terms of numbers. There's 8 guys, and there's a lot of guys to coordinate and stuff, but we just didn't want to rush into it and go, oh, we'll just try and cobble together something performance wise and put it out. If we don't believe it's going to stay true to the value of going, we try to do things quality, we try to put things out of a high standard. So we took our time and we waited until the point that we knew we could get together actually as a group. And the first live stream we tried was from the Clydeside Distillery in Glasgow. It was closed to the public, and we knew the manager Alistair there, who's from Ireland, spoke to him, and we did a stream from there called Live Across the World. and we sort of hoped if we can get 1,000 people to tune in, it'd be great. We ended up like 5,000 odd folk, 20 odd countries. So we've since done one with the Burns Museum, and then the most recent one you're talking about on board was Fingal, which is a lot of connections to us as a band, because Fingal was the lighthouse service boat or ship for the West Coast, which has then been bought by the trust that owned Royal York Britannia and turned into a luxury hotel and venue that sits in Edinburgh. So the main suite in it is called the Skerryvore suite, because each suite's named after a lighthouse on there. So there was loads of connections. We'd played at the press launch of it a couple of years back. So again, there was a connection there. But the same thing, we wanted, at a time when people can't come to Scotland and see Scotland, we wanted to take Scotland to the world. We could easily just sat in a studio and played a live stream, but we just felt it has to be more than that if you're going to try and promote it. And there's so many things online for people to watch right now. We thought, right, we need to try and make it more than just a gig. So there was a virtual tour of Royal York Britannia. We recorded an EP in the ballroom, the stateroom of Royal York Britannia, like on the piano, like the Rat Pack had played, and Princess Diana and all that as well. So there was loads of fun things around it, and then obviously just the live gig itself and the ballroom, the main room of Fingal. So no, it was great, and I think across the 3 streams we've managed to get just under 20,000 people to tune in something like 27 countries. So obviously everyone's missing live touring, but it's been incredible to still be able to connect with people all over the world, so it's been a very humbling as well to, the amount of people who supported us and kept supporting us over the last year as well and connected us. We certainly won't forget that.
Well, they'll certainly be very appreciative of the fact that you're showing that you're there and that you're wanting to give them this special experience. I mean, a lot of musicians probably have went a wee bit underground over the past year because they can't get out and perform live in person, but like you're saying, putting that emphasis on quality and a really memorable, unique experience, I mean, it means the world to people, and certainly with ONBOARD it was and is spectacular. Can people still access the event now?
It's not, but we had it for a week long. We extended it. Normally it was 48 hours, but we had a lot of requests. But the great thing, and I think a lot of musicians have benefited for this during the pandemic, is that they've got to understand that if you invest in these things, you retain all this, the rights to the programme, all the footage and all that's yours. It used to be that the only time you had stuff of that level, multi-camera quality, was the BBC or TV stuff that you couldn't get access to. It was their ownership and stuff. So I think a great thing is we've now got a whole load of stock footage, promotional footage that we can use again. So there's no doubt we will use it. I think like sort of the New Year stream, we licensed that out to multiple US festivals around Burns Day, because we had a performance in Burns Cottage and stuff as well. Loads of places reached out and said, "Oh, can we use some of the footage for that as well?" So there was obviously the live stream, but then there were multiple replays of sections of that as well. But I think we wanted to make sure that it was a live experience and people were being there live with us and connecting. And I know a lot of people have chose to do pre-record stuff, but we just said, no, if we're going to do this live, we need to do it live, and you just need to deal with it. And there's a few bumps in every stream. There's been a couple of hairy moments, but that's live. That's what live's all about as well, so.
Absolutely. And people appreciate that. They appreciate the authenticity of it as well. The internet and editing, everything might make it possible to fix up every wee glitch, but real gigs aren't like that. There's these moments that make it, whether they are unplanned mistakes or not, but it all adds to it. I know you've always been a fiercely independent band and just such a great energy, who are great ambassadors for Scotland. And you also produce concerts as well, one of which I've had the pleasure to. In fact, I've been to Oban Live as well as the Tyree Music Festival. Great events, and both must visit events in Scotland. I was wondering, how did you get into the producing concerts as well as performing at them, Daniel?
I think obviously going and playing and seeing them, and that was definitely the inspiration for Tyree. Was at this point we were starting to play more festivals with Skerryvore around the world, and I'm seeing these towns or villages or our cities hosting these events and people coming and being there, and I was like, I would love to do something like this in Tiree, and I did sort of have it at the back of my mind for a couple of years before deciding to go into it. But I spoke to, it was a friend I grew up with in Tiree, Stuart McLaren, and he said, look, do you fancy helping with this, and we'll try and put a festival on, and we just went for it, and that was 2010. And to be honest, it was a case of getting good people in. There was people that we'd played at events like Oban Hogmanay, and we asked some of the guys at the team at that, will you come and help us in Tiree? And it's just been a case of finding, and you know, I don't think this is any different to any other industry. If you find good people, you keep a hold of them, and you work well together with them. And we've just done that with Tiree, and it's went from, first year was 600 people in the car park at the hall, and we're now, you know, near 2,500 people, including all the volunteers and staff and musicians. So it was great. We obviously got to our 10th year. We've had to postpone the last two of the festival there, and the one in July is already postponed. But it's just one of these ones you just try to learn every year, and a bit like the music, just keep pushing to do things better, you know, and that certainly helps if I'm travelling with the band and seeing great festivals. You know yourself, you'll see festivals that, from a musician's perspective, it's like, oh, they do that really well, or they do that, and we just try and get wee bits here and there and go, how can we incorporate that into TMF as well, you know? So that's been it. And obviously then Oban Live came off the back of us, our 10th year with Skerryvore. We wanted to try and put on our biggest concert ever, and we've always had this dream of doing a stadium gig, maybe not a shinty stadium gig, but it was like, that's the way it's going to be. And then there was obviously just the demand to try and keep doing it, so we get 4 great years Oban Live as well. And we obviously parked the bus and that, but it's maybe something we'll revisit again in future, we'll see.
Absolutely. Well, certainly both spectacular events and a real cohesive community feeling at both of them. You know, for me, that was the first time I'd ever actually been to Tiree, you know, and it just it was absolutely brilliant, so well put together, and the community atmosphere at it was second to none. And Oban, it's such a gorgeous community, brilliant, and just had a brilliant time with that festival. So very well done with these events, and I know that people will be desperate for them to come back as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Oh, we can't wait. What's next for Skerryvore? What's next?
Some new music we're working away. We've not said too much about it, but hopefully we'll have a new song very soon. That's on the pipeline, and then hopefully the return of live touring. We have got a couple of things still standing for July and August. Again, it's just like a waiting game almost, you know, seeing what happens each day. But you know, obviously just keen to get back out. We're planning to be in Denmark in November, England, and then we always finish the year in Scotland. So yeah, we're just hoping these things will happen and keep making new music. But we've got a song that's pretty close to being finished, and we'll get that out next, and then perhaps we'll look at an album after that, because that's a couple of songs already that we could piece together for that as well. So yeah, it's just, I think it's really hard to plan anything exactly at the moment. You, like everyone else, you're just having to adjust and go with the flow a wee bit at times and be patient. But we certainly we've tried to keep as positive and as busy as it allows, and obviously just reacting to each situation. But there's obviously been lots of negative stuff, but I think we'll always look back on the past year as being a positive time in terms of, you know, the Radio 2 playlist with you and I, the number one, the streams, and even just time at home with family. We obviously spent a lot of time on the road for a couple of years, so I think we've all enjoyed being home and been around our families and recharging a bit that way as well. But certainly ready to hit the road again when it happens.
Well, absolutely, and that's it. I mean, you bring so much joy to people through your music, through the vibrancy of you as a group. You know, all these personalities with great energy. With the band members, do you all have different musical influences, and that forms the sound of Skerryvore? And has the sound of Skerryvore evolved through the years?
Yeah, massively, and I think, you know, there is lots of different influences. Everyone comes from different parts of Scotland. Everyone's had different upbringings. In the early days, it was obviously Fraser and Alec came up to Tiree. They're from Livingston, and came up to Tiree on holiday, and that's where we met. And at that point, myself and Martin were very much immersed in playing ceilidh dances, West Coast ceilidh music, and that's what at the start it was always about. But even Fraser and Alex's approach to playing along with our tunes was different to what, you know, other people would played for ceilidhs with. So straight away there was a sort of like, let's try this, and you know, we had a great. I love those first couple of years. You know, people always ask what's your favourite gigs all the time, and I always say things at Mull Music Festival. And those early times was just it was great fun. And you know, we were at university studying and things. But I think it was maybe a couple of years in, we all sort of decided we want to try and write our own music. We want to try and play festivals. We want to try and travel the world. So we knew we had to change a wee bit, and it was quite a scary time, particularly when we decided to do the Skerryvore self-titled album, which was actually our third one, and sort of us going, right, we want to try and change from being a ceilidh band to being almost a folk fusion band, a trad fusion band, and really letting go a lot of the influence. Alec writes his songs very influenced by pop music, very influenced by country music, massive Eagles fan. And, you know, Fraser's got Foo Fighters tattoo in his hand, a rock drummer, you know, that's it. And then you get Martin and myself at that point, obviously very West Coast orientated, but huge dance music fans. So it's like a crazy mix. And then that's when we started working with Alan Scobie, who's the keyboard and piano player in the band. He had a background of working in pop music as well. And then obviously we've had Jodie and Scott and Craig all come in, and different bass players over the years. So everyone's got their own sort of style. But I think part of it's always been, we know it has to be rooted in the traditional side of things, because that ultimately is where it started, and there always has to be that thread in it. And that can make it hard at times, because there's a very fine line of going too far either way and trying to find a place a wee bit. But I think it's certainly settled more in the last 5 years, where we know what it is we want to do, and particularly because we're in the States a lot as well. I think that pop Americana type style that Alec particularly writes songs in stands a good stead, and we've still got instrumental tracks and high energy stuff, so all that works in. But it's never easy. You know, everyone will have opinions and things and all that as well, so it's never easy. It's a democracy, and that's never quick at times. But that's been the amazing thing this year. We've managed to do it in isolation and a totally different process, and that's managed to produce really good results. So it's changed our minds a wee bit about how we maybe approach things in future. But I think, like anything in life, you have to just try things. There might be something, a way that something works, and we keep doing that way, it gets stale or it doesn't challenge you anymore. So I think in a way it's been good. We've had to, you know, approach things in terms of recording music and writing music in a completely different way. So I think that's what we'll always try and do, even coming out of this.
Absolutely. A very positive outlook on everything that's happened. What were your own personal music influences growing up, Daniel?
On the trad side, certainly Fergie McDonald, the Ceilidh King, and Ian McLaughlin, proper West Coast stuff. But probably the album that really influenced me the most was Blair Douglas, A Summer in Skye. And this was an accordion player that was writing songs and tunes, but mass produced. And you know, it just blew my mind when I heard that the first time, and it was definitely a thing. The album I remember playing along to. And even when we came to doing the Skerryvore album, and Alan asked for a reference, you know, from my side, that's what I played him. I said, this is how I want the accordion to sound, you know, the way that Blair's managed to make this sound on here. So that had a major. But then, as I said, I'm a massive dance music fan, so I loved like the Shaman and all that and everyone else as well, you know, and still do. So yeah, quite wide ranging styles of music, but particularly growing up in Tiree, ceilidh dances were hugely popular, so the ceilidh stuff was a big influence early doors.
Absolutely. And Craig Weir, that was on previously, he was talking about Martin Bennett being an influence, and talking about the evolution of using traditional music. I mean, certainly that is something that Skerryvore do brilliantly. You're taking lots of influences and fusions, but making something quite distinct with it.
Yeah, that's what we try to do, and it's, as it can be hard at times, but it's I think that's, we always just try and get music that'll entertain and always fit into a live show. I think that's always an important thing as well, that we make music that we know that we can take out and perform live. So I said it'll be good to, we obviously played the live streams and that was our first time playing some of these songs, but it'll be great to play the likes of Everyday Heroes and You and I and everyone else for the first time to a live audience. Certainly looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Well, I know that people will be absolutely desperate for that, desperate for it, and certainly I'm looking forward to hearing you perform live again. It has been too long. It's always been too long, but thank you so much for joining me today, Daniel Gillespie. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks very much. See you soon, man. Take care.
Thank you. All the best to all the lads as well. Thank you.
Well, cheers now.
Thanks, Daniel. All the very best. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do a song that we've never played live before ever. And it was recorded during lockdown, written by my brother Martin here, who I pass the accordion to. And it's for all those out there that are risking their lives daily for us. A wee song called Everyday Heroes that it's been amazing. It was our first number one, and it was only number one because of the support of you guys on it. And we're thinking about everyone out there that's still on the front line battling this terrible virus. This track is for you guys. It's called Everyday Heroes.
I'm joined now by Cameron Steer. How you doing, Cameron? How you doing?
Doing good. Doing good. It's good to see you. Good to see you.
Lovely to see you too. And where are you today, sir?
I'm in sunny Hamburg, which is just south of Buffalo, New York. That's where I'm at just now.
Perfect, perfect, excellent.
Beautiful weather down here on the lake.
Lovely to see you. Cameron's from Lanark originally, aren't you?
Yes, from Lanark in South Lanarkshire.
Gorgeous. And you've been living in Buffalo, NY for the past 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, came here for school and have been here. I've been here ever since. So yeah, I've been loving being here. It's a great corner of the world. Western New York is. It's a great corner of the world.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I believe you're going to give us a wee rundown of some new music in Scotland to share with us. What have you been listening to?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's I mean, especially since coming here to America, there's one genre I never really appreciated or listened to really, and that's country music. Growing up in Scotland, obviously, it's not really top of the list for what you'll be listening to, but I've developed a bit of a liking to it since I've come here, and it seems like everybody here, has some sort of country influence or some sort of liking for country music here. So it's been kind of infectious getting into it, and I mean, I was very happy to learn as well that there's quite a big Scottish influence in country music, especially nowadays. So I was able to talk to one of my favorite artists at the moment. His name is Chris Anderucci, and he's a country singer-songwriter from Ayr, Scotland, from the same area as you are, Jamie.
Indeed.
And he's out here in Nashville playing. He's recently just come back. He went home for the pandemic, but he's back in Nashville, being able to write and perform now. So I was talking to him, and he's really, really excited about some projects he's got coming up and some work he's doing. He was telling me, obviously, since he's come back and now that everything's starting to open up a little bit more, he's been able to actually meet with some writers and do some co-writing with some very successful writers in Nashville. He was telling me he's been working with Porchlight Music and Baylor Music publishers as well. So he's really excited to be doing some of that work with them. Working on some new songs, some new songs which are going to span a couple other genres. He says he's been experimenting with his craft, and he's really happy to see these take shape and come to fruition, and also to be able to play them to crowds. He says it's going to be brilliant now that he's actually able to do in person and live music at some local venues. So that was really just nice to speak to him, because I fell on to listening to his project, What Don't Kill You. That was kind of like at the start of quarantine. I believe that came out actually about a year ago. And that very fast became one of my favorite country projects out at the moment. So he was telling me he's actually going to be re-releasing it now. He's going to be re-releasing it now that he's back out here, as What Don't Kill You, the Story Edition. And he's actually he's got some limited run art prints as well that are going to come out with it. And that's been designed by a Scottish artist by the name of Don McClung, and that's going to feature on all the singles for it. So very exciting times for Chris Anderucci. It's very exciting times.
Absolutely, absolutely. No,
I cannot wait to hear some of his new stuff.
Great to hear. Chris features on the Sounds from Scotland album from the American Scottish Foundation, which you can purchase either online through Apple iTunes or on CD format. Remember them? From the American Scottish Foundation website. Soon to come on vinyl. Great to hear. So he's actually in Nashville at the moment. Wow.
Yeah, he is. And I spoke to another artist, a guy from my local area by the name of Scott McAllister. And I didn't realize before, but he's part of a bunch of songwriting groups, which actually write country and western songs for artists in Nashville as well. So he's been writing ever since like the 90s. He used to do pop music. He wrote a good few hit songs. Number one in Scotland, number 3 in England, for an artist called David Snedden back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And he said that like that was really, well, back then he was trying to do it professionally, and he had some great times. He had his own studio in Shotts, was writing backing tracks for people, just in the genre of pop. Now he told me he went to Nashville at one point, and he was shocked at like how everybody in Nashville is a singer-songwriter. You'll be at a bar or you'll be at a restaurant, and the servers are there to be singer-songwriters. So he was kind of like, well, that would be cool. Like, how can I get my music out there? And he told me as well. Scott said that he'd about 3 years ago he kind of got the songwriting bug again, if you will. But this time he started listening to country music. So he really like took a liking to that and thought he could do some work there. So he's been writing with it's called, I think it was the community he writes with is called Songtown, and it's just a group of it's a ran by a couple hit songwriters in Nashville, but it connects country writers from all over the world. He was telling me he works with a guy in New York City, works with a guy in San Antonio, a guy from Canada, California, all over the place. And they come together twice a week just to write songs for these publishing groups. And he was telling me, he says, like, that's the main thing, because back in the day when he was writing pop music, coming from, you know, a little town like I do in the middle of Glasgow and Edinburgh, he says you're just outside that Glasgow circle and you're also outside the London circle, and that's where you want to be for writing music. But he says, especially because of this pandemic, he says obviously it's been a horrible thing, but it's opened up a lot of doors for him to be able to do some songwriting through Zoom. So I thought that was just really awesome to learn about him and to speak to Chris as well, and learn about the kind of the Scottish influence that's happening upon country music and such an American genre, and how it's really taken such a kind of hold of other people's hearts and music elsewhere, like in other countries. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing to learn and to hear about all that. So.
Absolutely, no, there's certainly a great influence there from Scottish traditional music in country music and how we know country today, although it might have changed considerably through the years. As a Scot now living in the US, you'll be exposed to lots of new music here, and I guess having this opportunity to promote Scottish music over here as well. What are some of your favourite Scottish artists and new music artists as well?
So talk about kind of like more popular Scottish artists. Well, my favourite's always been Biffy Clyro. I mean, obviously there's a lot of kind of like traditional like Scottish rock or traditional like kind of Scottish music in general. I mean, obviously then you have your more unorthodox kind of Scottish music like your Paolo Nutini, for instance. He's a cool style, and a lot of people don't realise that Paolo Nutini is actually Scottish. There's a lot of really good music, kind of older stuff. I mean, as I say, like the new stuff coming through with like, you know, Chris and the Richie. I don't think I've ever heard of a Scottish country singer. So that's it's interesting that everybody's, you know, breaking down barriers a little bit and coming out here to try and promote their craft, which is really it's a great opportunity to come out to America and promote your craft and whatever you do, whether you be, you know, maybe an engineer, whether you be an athlete, whether you be a musician. Evidently, it's a great place to come and try and further your craft. So we are really seeing that a lot later.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you what the music scene in Buffalo is like, but I'm guessing it's been a wee while since there's been a great deal of it.
Oh yeah, it's been. I mean, even what Chris was saying there, like music's his job, and he's not been able to do live music for a year and a half. You know, so it's nice to see everything's opening up now, opening up a little bit now. But yeah, it's certainly been something I've missed. I've really missed. I love my live music, and I've really missed being able to go out and see a gig, catch a gig. You know, go out with friends and just there's genuinely like nothing better for a weekend than live music and some pints. It's something I've really missed. So hopefully that's not going to be too long now before everything's opened up and you can get out and enjoy yourself at some venues, you know. So
absolutely, hopefully just a couple of months yet, and we'll be back to the concerts. We shall see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks very much for catching up with us this afternoon, Mr. Cameron Steer. It's a pleasure to see you.
Thank you very much, Jamie. Pleasure to see you as always. You take care.
Thank you very much. All the best. See you soon.
All the best. Bye.
Thank you. Mr. Cameron Steer joining us all the way from Hamburg, near Buffalo, New York. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much to everyone for tuning in today for our Sounds from Scotland. And thanks to Craig Weir for being our first guest, and then Daniel Gillespie of Skerryvore. It's been superb to listen to their influences, experiences and inspirations. And I need to apologise for some sound technical difficulties we were having earlier on. Apologise for that. We'll get that sorted for next time. But once again, thank you so very much. To keep up to date with the American Scottish Foundation, do see our website, americanscottishfoundation.org, or we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There's a Sounds from Scotland album that I mentioned earlier on that you can get from Apple iTunes, or indeed you'll find it through the website. And we'll have another one of these Sounds from Scotland albums coming this summer, celebrating some of the best of new music talent from Scotland. So, my name's Jamie McGeechan. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. Take care. See you again soon. All the best. Thank you.